Yujiri was a weak and pathetic child who was abandoned by his parents. He lived in a war-torn world where bullets and corpses were everywhere. He only had one person who cared for him, Asako, his caretaker. One day, he was looking for her in a corridor when he saw a door open. A woman with a gun was holding Asako hostage. She threatened to kill her if Yujiri moved. But before she could pull the trigger, she fell dead on the floor. Yujiri didn't know what happened, but he hugged Asako and smiled. He said they should go back to their home. Years later, Yujiri was a teenager who was on a class trip. He fell asleep on the bus, but he was awakened by his classmate Takaka, who was panicking. She told him to look around and see what was wrong. Yujiri saw that some of his classmates were dead and others were wounded. He also saw that something was wrapped around the bus. He threw a mic at it and saw that it was a huge wyvern, a type of dragon-like creature. The wyvern roared and flew towards the bus, ready to breathe fire. Takaka hugged Yujiri in fear. That hug triggered something in Yujiri's mind. He felt a surge of power and told the wyvern to die. The wyvern collapsed and died instantly. Yujiri told Takaka that they were safe, but she was confused and asked him what was going on. Yujiri asked her to tell him what happened before he woke up. Takaka said that they were driving through the night, but after they passed a tunnel, they ended up in a strange field. Then, a girl named Shin entered the bus and said she was the granddaughter of the great sage. She killed their teacher and said she was looking for sage candidates. She cast a spell and made some of the students glow. She said she gave them a system called the gift, which would allow them to use magic in this world. She said they had to become sages in a month, or they would be turned into livestock. She then left and gave them their first mission, to escape from the dragon. Yujiri tried to take charge and asked the students about their abilities. They showed him their stats, but he noticed that 4 of them, including Takaka, didn't glow. He decided to leave them behind and said they were useless. He broke the bus chairs and said that was the power of the gift. He said he was stronger than them, even though he was only level 1. The other girl asked him to protect them, but he said that was part of the plan. He told the girl next to him to use her gift. She used her charm ability, which would lure the dragon to them and give the others a chance to escape. They lock the door and leave with Yujiri. The ones inside try to force it open, but a loud noise outside startles them. Takaka guesses it's a dragon, and then something hits the bus hard. The guy inside screams, and Takaka sees that the girl was snatched out. She wonders if Yujiri did something, but he says the dragon just dropped dead. She doesn't buy it, but they decide to climb out through the window. Outside, Takaka spots 3 of their classmates in the air. Yujiri is amazed by her long-distance vision and asks if he should kill them. She questions his sanity, but Yujiri says they left them to die and they might be against them. The guys are baffled because the dragon is dead. They see that Takaka is alive and whine that they wanted to make her a zombie. Takaka realizes they can't be friends anymore. Suddenly, one of the guys launches a huge fireball that barely misses Takaka. He tells her to join him without resisting so that they can have some fun with her. Takaka realizes they all lust for her body. Yujiri points at the fireball guy and tells him to die. The other 2 laugh, but they are shocked to see him collapse. Yujiri tells them not to move, but the necromancer tries to check on his friend. Yujiri tells him to die too. Only the fat one is left, and Yujiri says he will die if he moves. Yujiri orders him to check if the other 2 are really dead. He does as he is told and uses his healing power, saying he can heal anything in a snap. But his friends don't move. He moans that Yujiri went too far, but Yujiri says he only did it because they attacked him. He explains that his power is a mental death note called instant death. He just has to think of who he wants to kill, and they die. He surrenders and approaches Yujiri. He is planning to attack him with magic, but Yujiri tells him to stop because his power also lets him know if someone wants to kill him or not. And he can combine the 2 powers. In other words, he doesn't need to know who is trying to kill him. Yujiri is about to kill him, but he puts on a slave collar and gives it to him. Yujiri decides not to kill him, but tells him to go to the forest full of monsters and wait there. He also tells him to leave all his items and never tell anyone about Yujiri and Takaka. He obeys, and Takaka asks if this is okay. Yujiri says he will betray them, so it's better this way. She asks if he doesn't trust her either. Yujiri says he doesn't care because he chose to protect her. She blushes and asks why he chose to protect her. Yujiri says it was because of her soft and juicy curves. She blushes and gets angry, saying that all men are the same. Yujiri and Takaka reach the nearby city, where a fox girl named Mayu greets them and asks if they are sage candidates. The cat girl says she wants to show them around, but they are surrounded by bandits after Takaka's shopping spree. Tamacha apologizes, saying that Mayu seemed nice. The bandits say that sage candidates who have no gifts are perfect to beat up and sell. Tamacha freaks out, but Yujiri is still calm. Tamacha tries to warn Mai, saying that Yujiri is actually strong despite his looks. The stupid cat girl thinks this is all a bluff, but Yujiri pulls his verbal death note and orders everyone behind him to die. The rest of the bandits are confused, but Yujiri keeps ordering more people to die. Tamacha says that Yujiri is so cruel. He says that he tried to go easy on them and orders this dog's eyeballs to die. The guy loses his sight, shocking everyone. Yujiri keeps killing them, thinking that it's not effective to target individual body parts. Mayu pretends to be innocent, asking for help as her little brothers are waiting for her at home. But Yujiri says that's not an excuse to rob and murder people. The last guy asks if he has no talent, but Yujiri points at them and tells them to die. However, they are still alive and try to escape. Takaka asks if he is sparing them, but Yujiri says he postponed his order. The two bandits manage to hide themselves, but the death is triggered. Yujiri tells Tamacha it's time to go, but they are stopped by some guards who want to know what happened. Yagiri makes up a story that they stumbled upon a massacre, but the guards don't buy it because they witnessed the sudden deaths of their comrades when they tried to attack. One of the guards uses his skill to appraise Yagiri and Taka and finds out that they have no gifts. This means they are powerless and harmless in this world. The guard apologizes for his captain's rudeness and offers them a place to stay for the night. They take them to a huge mansion where Tamacha encounters a spirit in her room. The spirit introduces herself as Makoko, her ancestor and protector. Tamacha is puzzled, and the spirit explains that she came to help her in this crisis. Tamacha wonders why she didn't show up earlier. The spirit confesses that she was scared of Yagiri's ability to erase her. Tamacha asks what the spirit wants from her. The spirit reveals that Tamacha has no gift because she shielded her from it. Tamacha gets angry and demands an explanation. The spirit says that gifts are a way for Sion to manipulate her life. The spirit is happy, though, because she finally has a successor for her school of art. Taka ignores her, saying that she just wants to go back to her world, but she has to rely on Yagiri for now. The spirit is thrilled, saying that's why she will teach her the true martial arts. The next morning, they board a train, and Taka's ancestor is still afraid of Yagiri. Tamacha asks if he can see her ancestor, and he says he only noticed her when Tamacha mentioned her. Suddenly, he pushes Tamacha down, and a huge explosion rips the roof off. A message orders the passengers to stay calm as there's a sage fighting an aggressor. They look around and see a giant mecha robot, which Yagiri recognizes as the aggressor. The sage launches several attacks at the robot. Tamacha asks if Yagiri can eliminate them both because they are in their way, but Yagiri says he has some rules to use his power, otherwise he would just kill anyone who annoys him. She apologizes for being naive when a huge attack comes their way. Fortunately, the robot blocks the attack. The sage complains that the robot is moving and attacks with a huge ice spell. The passengers get frozen, but Yagiri manages to protect Taka. Yagiri asks why he attacked them, but the sage tells him to kneel down and worship him like a dog. He starts insulting Yagiri, but Yagiri decides to kill him. The sage falls flat on the floor, and Taka asks if he did it. He simply says he had a good enough reason to do it. The robot approaches them, saying he doesn't want to fight. The robot wants to negotiate with Yagiri, promising to give him anything he wants. Tamacha realizes the robot is afraid of Yagiri, but our boy asks if there's a way to return to their world. The robot says he knows a way to return to the world where he came from. Yagiri asks if the robot can take them there, but the robot refuses to bring someone as dangerous as Yagiri to his world. He then explains that this world is at one of the lowest levels and climbing up requires a lot of energy and the right coordinates. Yagiri then asks the robot to give him some advice on how to find the energy and coordinates to return to his world. Later that day, the guards discover the sage that was killed by Yagiri. Shin also learns about it and talks with Lane, another sage. Lane is curious about Yagiri's instant death ability, but Shin says that the sage was supposed to have instant death resistance. Shin leaves, and Lane tells her subordinate to go to Hanabusa City and investigate Yagiri and Taka. Meanwhile, the two rest for the night in the woods where Taka's ancestor reveals that she turned her underwear into a katana. They walk through the forest until they reach Hanabusa City. Tamacha happily mentions that it looks like Japan but notices that Yagiri has a poor physical condition. Yagiri, however, replies that's normal because he killed enemies on their way. She gets confused, but when she looks back, she notices monsters and bandits who tried to attack them. She asks that since he's tired, his power must have a limit. Yet Yagiri replies that he can use it as much as he wants, but he will feel tired after using it. They get inside the city, and the spirit notices there are barriers instead of walls. Tamacha looks around and sees the huge hotel the previous inn lady told them about. They decide to stay there and get inside where they meet Tabana, their classmate. He's happy to see Tamacha, and she asks why he's here instead of being with the others. Tabana replies he split with them because they're inefficient with their leveling. Yet there's a maid girl who isn't happy with Tamacha being friendly towards Tabana. The guy tells her to calm down because they're classmates. The girl shuts up. But there's another one who praises Tabana. Tamacha is confused and asks Yagiri if he knows what is this all about, but he doesn't. Takana then introduces them to the maid girls, mentioning they're his bodyguards. There's a total of 5 girls serving this piece of trash. The 5 girls introduce themselves but also use this chance to threaten Tamacha. She doesn't understand what this is all about, but Tabana apologizes because he's a beta who isn't strict with girls. He orders the girls to shut up, and Yagiri asks Tamacha if this guy also left them behind. He mentions that he doesn't know what kind of ability Takana has, but he seems quite confident. Yet, Tamacha reveals that this loser has always been like this. He was always popular with girls and a narcissist. Yagiri is surprised, mentioning that school is more interesting than he thought. Suddenly, this trash calls this fate and invites Tamacha to become his lover. He knows this was sudden to ask, but Tamacha is shocked. The guy goes on telling her not to worry about Yagiri. He doesn't usually accept guys, but he can give him some special treatment. Tamacha is shocked because this guy still keeps going. Even Yagiri mentions that he doesn't feel killing intent thanks to this nonsense. Tamacha asks why he is so confident, and Takana replies he has the Dominator class. In short, he can dominate everyone who's weaker than him. She's still shocked by his words and mentions that he hasn't leveled up that much when compared to the others who are training in the primeval forest. This dumbass thinks she's into him and decides to explain everything. It all started when they threw a party after completing their first mission. Four Eyes came to him and gave him some advice. Four Eyes' class is a consultant. In short, he's a master plotter and scammer. Four Eyes mentioned how everyone was avoiding Tabana because of his class and mentioned that if someone doesn't become a sage, everyone will become livestock. That's why he tells Tabana that he should buy a large number of the cheapest level 1 servants. In short, the servants will fight for him, and if they win the battle, the opponent will become his servant but also get the experience points. Yet, Tabana mentions that his abilities don't have that information. Four Eyes reveals that his consultant class allows him to see the hidden details of others. Tekaba wants to know why Four Eyes is trying to help, but our master plotter just wants to make sure that everyone has a chance to become a sage and wishes him good luck. After that story, Tamacha thinks support types are too strong in this world. Yagiri understands that while they're speaking, Tab's number of servants and level is rising. The cocky guy confirms it and asks Tamacha again to become his lover. She rejects him, but he tells her to think about it and reply later. He leaves the place, and she reveals that he's annoying. Still, Yagiri thinks it would be safer for her to be by Tabana's side when compared to him. She asks if he's trying to make her angry, but he doesn't understand her reaction. Later, Yagiri is resting on his bed while Taka wonders how long they're supposed to stay in that place. The spirit says they should leave after Yagiri wakes up, but Tamacha replies it's been already 3 days. She asks the spirit to check on him, but the spirit refuses to because she doesn't know what he will do to her. Tamacha then mentions that she's tired of staying inside and wants to go outside for a while. Suddenly, she sees some smoke on the streets. This is because the guy who Lane told to take care of Yagiri is coming into the city and wrecking everything. The guy announces that his immortal army is recruiting and that if the citizens die, they will become zombie soldiers. The spirit tells Tamacha this is bad, as it smells like death. Tamacha is shocked and asks how this world can be so strange because people die easily here. Meanwhile, the other guy's maid is walking in the corridor while invisible. The spirit then asks if Tamacha doesn't want to go outside, but she says no, saying it's much more cozy inside. The spirit says they can't stay here forever, especially when an enemy is targeting her right now, but they can't see it. Tamacha is puzzled and asks what they can do against someone they can't see. She decides to call Yagiri's room to wake him up, but the spirit thinks she's depending on him too much. Meanwhile, the phone rings while Yagiri dreams about his childhood. He remembers waking up to his dog licking his face and Akko telling him that breakfast was ready. He then wakes up from his dream and picks up the phone, promising to go to Tamacha's room. Upon stepping outside, he sees the corridor is empty. However, the maid is invisible and pulls out a dagger. Yagiri closes his eyes and focuses on sensing the killing intent. He manages to see the girl and finds out that she plans to target Tamacha. He pulls out his mental death note and the girl falls onto the floor. He gets inside Tamacha's room and explains there was someone outside her room to kill her. Tamacha is confused about why she would be targeted, but Yagiri simply calls the reception to say there's someone collapsed in the hallway. Tamacha asks why he did that, but he replies they would doubt them if he didn't. Meanwhile, Takana receives an alert saying that his maid's signal has disappeared, but he has to worry about the other monster inside this dungeon. The monster attacks him, but he uses the barrier to block it. He thinks this is dull and uses the barrier to attack, mutilating the monster's arm. One servant is very happy, saying that he's too strong for monsters on the 100th floor. The monster asks who Tan is, but this guy uses his menu to use a flare bomb skill. The monster is defeated, and he then steps on him to make a contract. The monster calls him master, and the girl casts heal to restore its body parts. Takana then asks how many floors there are in this dungeon and finds out it's 150. He then orders the monster to head to the bottom floor and collect more servants. The monster leaves, and Tabana asks where the maid servant is. The other girl replies she should be in the hotel. Takaba then decides to use his skill to see her memories, but just watches her collapse. He thinks she was attacked from behind, but the other girl doesn't think she would let someone sneak on her. He then asks why the maid in the hallway was, to which the girl replies that there are two possibilities. First, she wanted to bring Tomo and make him happy. Second, she wanted to eliminate Tomo. He is puzzled by the girl's words. He wonders why his servants would disagree with him. He fears that Tomcho would flee from him and orders two other servants to grab her. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Tomcho recognizes that the explosion was caused by Takab, and Yogiri thinks that this is trouble. He tells Tomcho to pack their things and leave. She agrees, but he is surprised that she is so calm in this situation. Tomcha says that she is used to seeing dead people. Next to him, the spirit chimes in, saying that humans will die anyway, and her family members shouldn't be sad over something so simple. Tamacha gets angry and tells the spirit to stop being philosophical. They run away, but another Taban servant shows up, asking where they are going. Yogiri asks what she wants, but the girl casts a spell to trap him in an ice crystal. She happily says that her trash boss asked to bring Tomo to him, but Yogiri just punches the ice and breaks free. The girl and Tomo are confused because it should be hard to break it, but Yogiri says that he tried to kill the ice, which worked. Tacho is confused and asks what he means by killing the ice. The servant is shocked and starts casting more magic, but Yogiri kills the magic and then her staff. The girl falls to her knees, and he explains that he can kill anything he thinks about, so she should be a good girl and answer some questions. She agrees, and he asks if she can use magic without a staff. The girl says that because of her class, she can only use magic when holding a staff. Yogiri knows this means that she must have some extra ones. The girl confirms and pulls another wand from hand. Tamacha asks why she is hiding it there and also tells Yogiri to stop looking. He is surprised because he didn't expect that she could use them in that way. He then asks about what she just said about taking Tamacha to Takon and asks about the others. She says that everyone got the same order. Suddenly, another girl is on the ceiling and tries to attack Tako. She quickly uses her judo skills to put the girl down. Yogiri is surprised, but the spirit says that Tako's martial art talents are awakening. However, when they look at the girl properly, they notice it's a doll. More dolls surround them, and the other girl pulls another wand from her hair, saying that she thought she could do this by herself. Yogiri's eyes shine, and the girl drops dead onto the floor. A girl who controls the dolls is sitting on the stairs and orders them to deal with it but to let Tak Al. However, Yogiri kills every doll. The girl starts to panic, and they find her. She begs them to not kill her, making Tako feel like they are the real villains. Meanwhile, Takaba feels again that his servant is dead and the little girl has lost her will to fight and told Yogiri and Tako everything. After hearing the conversation, he tells the other maids that Yogiri can kill anything just by thinking. They all find it hard to believe it, but Takana thinks they should observe them first and lead them to a place where they can ambush them. Taka and Yogiri start walking down the stairs until they see it filled with cockroaches. She screams in fear, and when Yogiri is about to say its name, she stops him because it will traumatize her. If this video receives 10 likes, the next episode will be uploaded as soon as possible.